Hello, in this video we will understand about the giardiasis. The giardiasis is a diarrheal disease caused by the microscopic parasite Giardia lamblia or other species. So let's begin to understand the whole story about the giardiasis. Giardiasis is a diarrheal disease caused by the microscopic parasite Giardia duodenalis, which that will live in the duodenum of the small intestine. So for short is a Giardia. Once a person or animal has been infected with Giardia, the parasite lives in the intestines and is passed in stool or poop. Once outside the body, Giardia can sometimes survive for a week or even a month. So let's begin to understand their cycle. So during the ingestion from the person, whenever the contamination of the cyst, this cyst contamination with food or water or hands with cyst due to the dirty hand, which that whenever due to the contact with the stool will lead to ingest through a child. In this way, the ingestion will lead to digestion, and the cyst coat is hard to prevent digestion. In this way, the digestion will not occur for the cyst, and cyst ultimately consume the nutrients from the host will develop into the trophozoites. This trophozoid development is basically the trophozoites are also passed in stool, but they don't survive in outer environment. This cyst formation is occur, and in this way the trophozoites and cyst collectively are present in the stool. After the defecation, this will be again cycle will occur. So let's begin to understand the bigger picture and their pathophysiological aspect. This is the enterocytes, and this is the lumen contained microbiota, the resident microbiota. Whenever when you will eat food contaminated, so the nutrients, these nutrients consumed by the cyst, as well as it can be absorbed from the enterocyte into the blood circulatory system, is known as absorption for assimilation after digestion. So the resident microbiota prevent the giardia colonization, but it will be compete with the microbiota which that in mutualistic bacteria like lactobacillus. This competition will basically inhibit the growth of the microbiota and more growth of the giardia and uptake of the nutrients via a giardia, and in this way the trophozoites formation will occur, and in this way the it will intact with the epithelial cell, the enterocyte, and the survival and adaptation will occur due to the ventral disc and flagella, antioxidant production, interleukin 8 cleavage, RG9 decrease, toll-like receptor modulate, and VSP switching. Anyhow, in this way here you can see the enterocytes basically contain between this is the dendritic cell will recruit due to the interleukin 6 production from the inflammation of the cell, and in this way this inflammation will be early clearance toll-like receptor activation. After this the dendritic cell will recruit the early clearance the macrophage to produce nitric oxide, and nitric oxide itself is the inflammatory causes, and in this way the more inflammation will progress will lead to also recruit due to the interleukin 6 more production to the mast cell, and the early clearance will occur. But if early clearance will not occur, so the further more immune cell, the adaptive immune cell will be recruited, while this is the innate immune cells. In this way, the CD4 recruitment is for early clearance more, and in this way, the CD4 T helper cell basically recruit the CD8 cytotoxic T cell for the apoptosis and the killing of the inflamed cell or infected cell. And in this way, the epithelium, which that's contain villi and microvilli, will be disrupted. Pathogen can be increased due to the permeability will be increased due to the damage of the epithelial cell, for example the enterocytes. So the tight junction will be loose, the mutualistic bacteria will be invade. On the other hand, the possible pathologies can be epithelial damage, dysbiosis, bacterial translocation, and villus and microvillus shortening are damaging, and enteropathy, a lot of disease related to the enterocyte. Okay, the B cell late clearance will occur. In this way, the late clearance when the Giardia will enter into the circulatory system sometime will lead to immune system activation to produce antibodies against this pathogen, against this parasite. The risk factor is the childhood, close contact with patient, travelers within areas that have poor sanitation, contact with poop during sexual activity, and the swimmers who allow to swallow water. And weak immunity can also trigger due to the decrease of the immunity will lead to inflammation, the chronic inflammation progress. In this way, the inflammation will lead to cause many problems. And the symptom of giardiasis can be a diarrhea and gas production in the stomach, and the foul smelling, the greasy poop stool that can float. The stomach cramp or pain caused due to the diarrhea and upset stomach often or nausea and dehydration, and 2 to 5 loose stools per day can be produced, and some have asymptomatic. Remember, the important thing you should need to understand in this giardiasis is that it is asymptomatic. Remember, asymptomatic will lead to cause symptom late. Diagnosis is the submit poop to the healthcare center several times. So the sample of stool is very important for identification. The microscopic study for identification of the giardia. Let's begin to understand the prevention and treatment. This is the treatment, and metronidazole and the tinidazole, nitazoxanide, and the paromomycin, which that is used antibiotic, and these antibiotics will cure. On the other hand, the prevention can be clean water and other things. But the epidemiology is the basically the sporadic or epidemic diarrheal illness and the waterborne and foodborne disease, which that is transmit the areas where the sanitation condition is not good, sanitation condition is bad, and illness in international travelers and Asian and other developed countries involved, and it is endemic and risk to pandemic worldwide. Remember that things. So I hope you make sense about that. So let's begin to understand other things. This is the protozoan disease caused by the parasite Giardia lamblia. Around 200 million people are infected worldwide, and annually 5 lakh deaths were reported each year, and 20 to 30% in developing area, which that is going to develop for the developing area under the develop. So I hope you make sense about that. This video was about the giardiasis. Giardiasis is a disease caused, diarrheal disease caused due to the Giardia duodenalis or other species. Thanks for watching.